see, consciousness has great. As today, we live recklessly. Money make egos inflate and thereby create a turbulent state. I see a struggle between the sexes, new hang-ups and old complexes. Now the question is, right in context, what shall be next? I've already seen this world have come divided between race, color, creed and class. And some of the things the scripture predict truthfully come to pass. Soil that wouldn't bear children, making children to be a part of this growing mass. And I ask, if this is progress, how long will it last?
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, east, west, north, central in Trinidad. Our friends in Tobago and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is the Tuesday edition of the Corridor Transformation. And of course, as usual, we have a bumper program for you. But of course, we ask the question as to progress. Where are we? Because we have to deal with these complex issues, whether we like it or not, simply because they have implications for and influence, of course, our existential and future existence as part of the family of nations on the face of the earth. And therefore, we have to talk about economics. So we have to talk about the social, what I consider to be matrix that exists. We have to talk about some of the impediments and some of the things that we rather not have with us, but are there, and therefore how we find solutions to treat with these problems. Of course, we have the budget coming up next month, most likely August, September, yes. But of course, budget consultations are taking place, and I want to say to you that we ourselves will be looking at the budget and some of the things, well, the budget to come. I'm talking about, of course, 2026 to 2027 budget presentation and some of the things that we expect in the budget. Of course, high on the agenda must be the question of security, but at the same time, because I too, just as the Honorable Prime Minister, believe that if it is that you don't have a proper security mechanism or trust therein, or the likelihood that you can be living in a Russian roulette environment where your life could be snuffed out at any time, then what is the point of working hard? What's the point of pursuing academic and other qualifications? What's the point of becoming an entrepreneur and business person and contributing to the economic life of the country? But at the same time, as human beings, we rely on food, shelter, clothing, and entertainment these days, and therefore, in order to achieve that, you must have some kind of economic activity taking place, and that is where the whole question of the economy comes in, and how healthy that particular aspect of human existence in Trinidad and Tobago is operating and faring. So we have quite a lot to chew tonight, but I want, of course, us to start with a very profound statement, because you see, it depends on, by and large, that if you have the wrong policies and the wrong relationships, if you want to call it that, then you can find yourself in a lot of problems as far as a country is concerned. And we have seen that when we compare the PNM in the previous 9 years and that of the present administration in only just 1.5 years. And of course, it's chalk and cheese. And all Rowley and the PNM had to do was to align themselves in the interests of Trinidad and Tobago with the right countries. And in this case, of course, the United States was right there begging, sitting there like a sitting duck, so to speak, to develop relationship between this country and that country. But instead, Rowley and they chose to be have a socialist rogue attachment tendency in terms of their foreign and what I consider to be regional foreign, yes, and regional policies. And that has turned out to be to our detriment. Maduro is no longer there, even though that was the tendency of the PNM to associate with Maduro and Venezuela. And then, of course, by extension, you're talking about Iran, you're talking about Russia, you're talking about Cuba. I mean, it was a toxic brew, a toxic scenario for Trinidad and Tobago. Thank God the 28th of April came and the people of Trinidad and Tobago decisively put their confidence, or repose their confidence in the UNC and the coalition of interests. And today, that policy, or should I say, that confidence is now bearing tremendous fruit. And of course, this is expressed fundamentally and very, what I consider to be pointedly, by the Deputy Secretary of State who came in. Remember, you had, of course, the Secretary of State under the previous administration in the United States, talking about, of course, the current president, who was the president then. And you had, of course, the Secretary of State going to Guyana, but flew over Trinidad and went straight back to the United States. And we have always said that it was incumbent. It was, in a sense, out of mutual respect, that a Secretary of State coming so far south in the Caribbean ought to have at least put in a courtesy call in Trinidad and Tobago. That did not happen. I'm talking about Mike Pompey. But we know why, we analyze why, because Trinidad and Tobago, simply under Rowley and the PNM, were antagonistic to the United States. So we saw that with respect to their support in the OAS, the Organization of American States, when, of course, Pompey and the administration then, under the same Donald Trump, said, listen, align yourself. We are called upon to come on board. And they didn't even, Trinidad and Tobago didn't even support sanctions, far less for our military intervention. And then, of course, Dr. Rowley, in several statements, when he came back from one of his South American chores, it would have been, of course, one of the South American countries. He said in no uncertain terms that he wants the Secretary General of the OAS fired, because he was advocating some kind of belligerent approach to Venezuela at the time. And then, of course, he went to the United Nations and said that we are non-aligned and we are a zone of peace and all that kind of hogwash that really and truly does not and did not, of course, accrue to the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago. And then, of course, we had military exercises with the Venezuelan Guardia Costa. We had that as well. And then, of course, as if to put the thing in concrete, so to speak, the position in concrete, he then, of course, invited Delcy Rodriguez and her entourage, even when the borders were closed, to fictitious, we know now, meeting about COVID, when in fact, by the time she left, we had a situation where a mysterious shipment of fuel left, of course, our own Garacara facility here in Trinidad and found its way into the Venezuelan, let's say, domain. And of course, all of that didn't fool anybody, including here in Trinidad. But the narrative then was that they don't know anything about it. It was clandestine, it was secretive. They didn't even know who were members of her entourage, when in fact, everybody knew that the national oil company of that country, Venezuela, serious and senior members of that entity were among the entourage that was here, and of all kinds of what I consider to be convoluted and amorphous excuses. So they're playing with fire. They were playing with fire. They wanted to push their hand in fire to see if it burns, even though everybody should have known that by way of pure common sense. They gambled and lost. And lost. The new government has come into office, and this is what we expect the relationship to be with the United States. I thought it was important to give that
deep
background.
appreciation and recognition of the job that this current administration in Trinidad and Tobago is doing, and how much it means to us in the United States to have partners here in Trinidad who are as eager as we are to engage for the good of each of our peoples. Prime Minister Prasad Bisesar has just been an incredible partner. We met a few months ago in Miami at the Summit of the Americas, or the SHIELD Summit there. I met the Prime Minister, Foreign Minister Sean Sobers. My deep appreciation.
Let's go straight to the lines. I see that people are calling already, so let's go straight here. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. So we have lost that one. Let's get back to, of course, the Deputy Secretary of State, who, of course, came here, made certain commentary, and we're very pleased that that Trinidad and Tobago has found its bearings, so to speak, in the best interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and that could inevitably be, and obviously would have been, to anchor our relationship with the United States, simply because it is the largest economy in the world and happen to be not too far from us, and at the same time, of course, in terms of protection, security, and other, let's say, necessities of Trinidad and Tobago's society moving forward. The best place to have been is in the corner of the United States. And of course, this government spared no time to making that a reality. Let's hear from the Deputy Secretary of State commentary as to how they view Trinidad and Tobago today.
My deep appreciation and recognition of the job that this current administration in Trinidad and Tobago is doing, and how much it means to us in the United States to have partners here in Trinidad who are as eager as we are to engage for the good of each of our peoples. Prime Minister Prasad Bisesar has just been an incredible partner. We met a few months ago in Miami at the Summit of the Americas, or the SHIELD Summit there. I met the Prime Minister, Foreign Minister Sean Sobers, and was so impressed with their vision and their strength.
Yes, and let's see if we can get that caller. Yes. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night, my friend. Yes, man.
And to all your listeners.
Yes, man.
I want to raise a red flag.
Go ahead.
Anybody with the name Brian and has a linkage with the PNM, we must not court them. Let them mash up the place, let them mash up the party. Because I want people to jog the memory. It had a Brian and they call him Kwaitong.
Yes.
And tainted the UNC. They still put that on UNC, you know. It's a PNM infiltrated UNC. And you see what has happened. We have to linger on with that.
Yes.
So we had to be very careful. The other thing is, they had a press conference, 2 or 3 days ago?
Yes.
And 4 or 5 of them was speaking vociferously to empty chairs.
Yes, and loudly.
Right, and I remember in 2021, 22, a former Prime Minister, big and mighty, pushed off the chest and he went up to the climate conference, COP26 in Scotland.
Yes.
And when it's time to address the gathering, it was only empty chairs. So nobody wants to listen to the PNM again. because they have done so much damage. We have to understand there's not worth listening to and wasting your time listening to them. The other thing I want to ask this, Brian, what about the basketball issue initiative he and the father was trying to do? I ain't hear nothing about that. They say he ain't get money, they say he get money. And there was a rumor going around that he had plenty paisa. I think he wanted to make some investment in one Woodbrook Place.
Yes.
We have to understand, why was he so silent when the 152 recusal happened? Why was he so silent when the former Prime Minister in the national budget say he have 50 million to spend and to entertain? I believe we are getting an account for that yet, eh? So we're looking forward for that in the new year.
Yeah.
Because time is longer than crime, and any honest person will see the gains we have got. It hasn't been massive, but you're seeing where things are happening. I mean to say, Brian Manning is a whistleblower, but I want him to go to the police. If you say the lady was selling costume jewelry, and all of a sudden she have thing in Florida, go to the police with the evidence, don't bump your gum. Because we focus on how all your build Balize house, you know. We focus on that, and if you don't come out and nail them, then the legacy of your father, even though it is minuscule, and you want to keep that little legacy, then you have to come out and sing them. You don't want to be tarnished with them. I mean to say, don't recuse yourself from going into the police and giving them evidence, because the police say they don't get anything yet. So I want him to go and tell the police and give the police a go-to track, just as how the whistleblower gave the police the go-to track for Balize House. Go on, have a nice night.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We will be, of course, addressing the whole question of the Balize fiasco and the implosion of the PNM and the internecine, let's say, conflict of not just interests, but what I would consider to be catastrophe that is the PNM today at the level of leadership in terms of the personalities. And before we get there, because I'll do that after I make my presentation with respect to how firm Trinidad and how secure Trinidad and Tobago's future is, and the immediate one at that, as a consequence of initiatives taken by this government. But in the meantime, I'll give you some work to do, and that is in this short period, and having regard to what is unfolding inside of the PNM, could you identify any significant leader? Yes, we know we have what is called the titular or the on paper, the legal leader. But are you seeing any personality there that could match the even Rowley, for different reasons, of course, Manning and Eric Williams, possibly even Chambers? Could you see anybody emerging? And I'm saying so because the PNM is now saying, as Imbert did last night, you would have heard, I know we didn't play him last night on it, but you'll probably get a chance tonight to hear him. He talked about the territory tree, which would have been the most devastating position that the PNM has ever been in its history. But what he failed to tell us is that the three were strong personalities. You had Donovan McDavidson, the one that won the Laventille East Movant constituency. You had, of course, Maurice Marshall, who won Laventille West. A far cry, influential cry from, of course, what I consider the debacle of called Marcel today. And then you had, of course, Patrick Manning, who was saturated, even though he was, I consider to be innocuous in terms of his presence on the political stage at that time, but he was lurking in the background and had several portfolio and experiences below his belt. So too Donovan McDavidson, and of course Maurice Marshall was an emerging, let's say, giant, even though he was tiny. What do we have today? So, of course, Manning then decided to link up, bring in people like Rowley and so on, who were equally, of course, very aggressive, very belligerent, politically, that is. And they went about, of course, trying to revive and resuscitate the PNM. They eventually, of course, became successful in 1991, yes, 1991, in that particular elections. But they would have done the groundwork. Now, I want to tell you this, that doesn't mean that the UNC today didn't do its homework either and remain complacent over the years, and to have the PNM ride roughshod over them as they did, as they allowed between 2010 and 2015. I want to say that different Kamala Prasad Bisesa personality, character, disposition, and attitude, because you had to be a fool not to learn from your mistakes. And obviously, the PNM, as a belligerent, aggressive, believe that somehow Trinidad and Tobago belong to them, and that they act in that arrogant, hubris way, believe that they could come today and do the same thing. So what we have as a quagmire or as a dilemma as far as the PNM leadership is concerned, no one could emerge as a significant leader. And why we know that? Because everybody calling a press conference at will. They called one 2 days ago, and 7 of them attended, and you see 2 persons in the audience. But of course, you could see the room that was chosen was a large one, so it means therefore they were catering for a large number of persons. At minimum, the executive of San Fernando East, but no one turned up. In fact, after that exercise, the entire executive resigned. So if that was the intention of the executive, you think they were asking anybody to come to Balize House or to that emergency press conference to ostensibly treat with that matter in San Fernando East? Use your common sense. So they were faced with a huge embarrassment. In this big room, their voices were almost echoing in the room. First it was empty. Echo, reverberations was galore. But that being as it may, the point I'm asking is that, do you see anybody emerging as some significant, influential, hegemonic individual to carry the PNM into the future and to oppose the present very powerful, very learned, very experienced Kamala Prasad Bisesa, now Prime Minister and leader of the UNC and leader of the government in relation to the UNC and the coalition of interests? Are you seeing any one of them emerging? Inclusive, I'm putting in that cap as well. She's not going to be separated. I'm talking about the current leader, current titular or the current leader. I'm talking about Penelope Beckles. She was not at the press conference that she ought to have been, in my view. And if she could not have been, there ought not to have been any press conference. Because I remember when the fiasco with Marlene McDonald and the potential fallout for the constituency of Port-au-Prince South, which she was the elected representative, you notice that Rowley held a hasty press conference, but he was there at Town Hall he was there at town hall. He was most present to ask and to receive and to, of course, respond to questions. So that is what we are talking about here. Very, 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 very important that you, and therefore we will talk about the other repercussions. If your answer is none, then what is repercussions for the PNM? But let's continue with the Deputy Secretary of State and the pronouncement he would have made right here in Trinidad as to the relationship moving forward between Trinidad and Tobago and the United States.
And I said, wow, there is a great partner for the United States. And, you know, it has saddened me over the years that I think our relationships with our friends in the Caribbean countries have not been as close as they should be. I mean, the United States and the Caribbean countries, seems to me, are united in many ways by geography, by history. There's so much that we can do together. And I really do feel like this Prime Minister here in Trinidad today is really opening the door for a new vision of U.S.-Caribbean relations that nobody has ever opened before. It's been there for
Well, we have to pause as usual and go to the line. When, of course, the callers call, we have to respond. President, good night. Welcome to the
good
corridor.
night. Hello, good night.
Good night. Go ahead. Yes. I'll hear you loud and
Yeah,
clear.
corridor of progress. Is this the corridor of progress?
Yeah, that's right. The corridor transformation, but progress is also a good name.
San Fernando East, what man?
Yes, go ahead, man. How are you going? Tell us what is on your
I'm
mind.
calling from the heart of the Bacchanal.
That's right.
Lennox, let me tell you something. There's something called the triangle in San Fernando East.
Uh-huh.
Who knows San Fernando East will know what is the triangle.
Okay.
The triangle is Coquille, Monrepo, and Pleasantville.
Okay.
Right? Once we could conquer 1,000 foot within that frame of the triangle, nobody, no Michaela, no third party, no fourth party, no fifth party could beat the UNC. UNC have a solid base in San Fernando East,
I hear you.
which we maintain and keep. And this is what we're not doing, because you know why? That is a marginal. Yes, it was marginal. It was not marginal. It was a sure seat for the PNM on that Patrick. Because you know why? Money will come in every nook and cranny on a Saturday morning. As a rule, once Manning is alive, he will come. Stop by every shop, every corner, every street corner. He will see a youth man. Hey, how you going, boss? Manning will cut his hair in San Fernando East. Everything from Manning is San Fernando East. Brian Manning is only here election time. And that is the end of it. And
So
this
you're
is the
saying- so you're saying
downfall of the PNM.
That misstep or that ill calculation by Brian Manning means that the constituency is ripe to be solidly in the corner of the UNC if they do the work. Are you saying
I
that?
am saying that, Lennox. You know why?
Okay.
Because the election was within 673 votes
Yeah.
for the last election, right?
Right.
John Macamillian,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
673 votes. So that's not a big margin in politics. That is not a big margin.
No, of course not. That is conquerable.
That is just extra work.
Conquerable. Yeah, conquerable.
Correct.
That's
Extra
right.
work.
Yeah.
Extra work for the activists to do.
That's right, exactly. And I see that Kambokas
Right, that is all.
I see that Ali Kambokas is making his move as well, as he's making statements. He's telling the constituents they can come to him. He has been
Yeah,
he
but
has been
no,
on the ground.
no,
etc.
Lennox.
Go ahead.
As a man from experience and you from the experience, man, but now is not the time for him to speak. Now is the time to act.
Well, but I
Action.
suppose people have to know what he is prepared to do. So you have to speak in that context. But I understand
Lennox,
what you're saying.
Macamillian is a man of the ground. Macamillian is of the structure of the ground. He's on the black carpet.
Right. So therefore he should
Maca is a
act,
groundsman.
he should act more. All right, okay. So you're
Therefore, he
satisfied.
should come and implement certain things and let me get it going in San Fernando East because there's nothing on that Brian Manning happened.
Right.
Since Patrick Moving Augustus Manning died in 2013, nothing happened in San Fernando East.
Yeah.
Brian
But I
Lara
take
played
note.
cricket in Duverson Park.
Yeah. I take
Brian
note.
Lara played cricket in Duverson Park.
Okay. But I
That
take
ground
note.
is
Okay. Go ahead, because we kind of conflicting each other. Go ahead.
that ground is not functional up to today. That was
Alright.
maintained by the former sugar company using.
I see. So
Right?
that is one area
Why
you
is
would
that?
suggest to Machiavellian.
Correct, Lennox. There's program. Listen.
Kind of
Hey,
focus.
we get a barber. Hey, come and teach this man to cut hair. Teach this man to do nail.
Right.
Come hey.
All right. Great.
Little children want to
But let me
let me
ask
do
you
little
some.
videography.
Yeah. But
Tell
let me
me.
ask you
Yeah.
something. Let me just interrupt you a bit. The statement coming out from the executive, the first one, before the mass resignation letter, the first one indicated that not only did they confirm that they worked hard to get him in office with just 600 votes
Correct.
ahead of his competitor, but they also said
Right.
that heritage doesn't mean automatic access to the constituency or to
Correct.
and what do you think about that statement? Because I think that was profound.
Lennox,
Yeah.
legacy is something you build. Legacy, you build a legacy. Right? Or you create a legacy. Let me put it this way. Right? You can't just walk in and claim legacy of your father.
All right.
You have to found and fulfill what your father have done
Right.
and walk in the footsteps of your father.
Great. All right. I suppose
Right?
that is an appropriate explanation as to why they had to put in.
And
that
he's
in their
not doing
statement.
that. He's nowhere close.
Yeah.
He's nowhere close to that.
Yeah, he just believed that genes will get him there.
He's just there because he's a Manning. He's a Manning.
Yeah, but he doesn't even
He's
look
just there
close
because
to
he's a
Manning either.
Manning.
He doesn't even look close to Manning either, but say what? That's another
Well, I don't know if he's in the valley of the Manning or what. I don't know.
So they say. So they
Right?
say, yeah, the valley of the Manning. All right, man.
Right.
Genetically, yes. All right, thank you very much for your input. Thank you very much. That is...
Council, let me tell you something. This is a critical position, and we need to step on it. If the leading party of this country right now understand what done, the PNM is just rebuilding. You know when they say the grave gone flat,
yes.
and we have to build back the head. The PNM right now, the Manning trying to come out because his father was buried by the PNM.
Yeah.
He was destroyed by the PNM, and this is what Brian Manning must understand. Come out and say, listen, I done.
Yeah.
Call a by-election, I done with that.
Yeah.
Name crossing the floor, I done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Be a big man and say, I done.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Look, they bring the man wife into phone now, his wife,
Yeah.
oh God, I forget her name.
Shelly Das.
Shelly.
Yeah.
Shelly. Right? Understand what I'm saying? Don't bring your family into no more shame. Call it and say, listen, I'm done. I can't handle this. From beginning, you're supposed to come out and say, as a big man, look, something, you know, if I stop you in
All right. Okay. Thank you.
right?
Yeah. Thank you. And people, of course, that is part of this speculation that is taking place. What is the purpose? What is the objective? And what would have been the causative elements or agents that caused Brian Manning to say and do what he's doing now? But I want all who are looking at this matter and making their own evaluation that you cannot take out of the equation the fact that he wants to be dominant it is a power struggle. Because I asked the question on the ground report this morning, to what extent do you people think that he now believes that he has to defend his father, having regard to the travesty that was meted out to him by his arch rival and eventual successor. Talking about Rowley. But let's go to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Dr. Lennox.
Yes.
Good night to you, sir.
Good night to you as well.
Well, I see the PNM have taken issue again. Marvin Gonzalez, he has an issue with T and Tech, getting yellow jerseys for some anniversary, some with T and Tech there.
Oh, I see.
And he find that yellow is UNC color. They should be wearing red, white, and black for independence.
I see. but
this man,
the symbol, the logo.
But Tiantec is yellow.
The logo has
yellow.
always been yellow. Yellow in
yes.
color. Yeah.
Yeah. So he have a sickening problem with yellow, boy.
But and that is the problem with the PNM at this stage. They cannot. People are trying to distinguish themselves from the rest in terms of leadership. But as Manning would have told Rowley at one time, you can't bark at every passing vehicle, man. You turn out to be a mongrel. But go ahead, I mean, what we call a
but he shouldn't be worried.
A shitong in Laventille. Go ahead.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be worrying about things like that. He should be worrying about producing the receipts for Balize House. That should be the first and foremost on his mind.
Yeah. But don't believe for one moment that is not so. What they are hoping is that those diversionary escapades will somehow not, or should I say, overwhelm the need for that. But why is the court date come closer and closer for delivery? And then they will have to face further embarrassment and reality. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I saw the news where the PNM3 was served with a pre-action protocol by the Commissioner of Police, and that had to do with false narrative what they're reporting about Star Saga not getting medical care. It was incorrect reporting by the whoever wrote the article.
Not getting. So he sued who? He sued who? The CNC3? Or the owners of...
no, the Commissioner of Police served them with a pre-action protocol letter.
Yeah, to whom?
For a story that they had in The Guardian.
Yeah, I know. The Guardian.
Sabga denied medical care.
Yeah, I saw that, yes.
So they have 28 days to respond. I'm glad for this thing because they're too biased. Yeah. Unfortunately, they can't go the way of the Newsday. Because they will absorb their losses.
Yeah, but from where I stand and my knowledge of this scenario, it looks as though Al-Rari might have been involved in that misleading statement that they would have made. I shouldn't say just not misleading, but certainly erroneous, wrong, a lie. I don't know how Al-Rari and them going and work out that because Al-Rari, without confirming or refuting, went on to talk about the access by Ms. Starr of her legal advisors, but omitted to refute the fact because he is the leading attorney, he's the SC senior counsel there, and therefore ought to have known and would have been intrinsically involved in whether or not she had access to medical. But he went on to say, if memory serves me right, that she is on some kind of medication, and therefore suggesting that the deprivation of medical personnel, her practitioners or her attendants medically he has reinforced that. So I don't know how he and the Guardian will get along. The Sabgas will never get along. Haven't done that, but let's see how it works out. But go ahead.
Yeah, so this brings the point here now. They were asking some time about where is the commissioner of police?
Yes.
Where is the commissioner of police? Right? But if the commissioner on a business either or some leave or whatever, there's somebody to take over. So I don't know what is the opposition. What's the agenda? To begin
the
with? What's the
opposition
agenda?
is saying that and they are still claiming that the process has been breached in that in order to get somebody to act for him, and in fact I think Gonzalez or whatever his name is, brought a document signed by the deputy commissioner who took over or took charge of the police in the absence of the substantive commissioner, and they're therefore saying that confirming that there was a breach, because the matter ought to have gone to the Police Service Commission, and the Police Service Commission should have sent their recommendation directly to the Parliament, where ratification could have taken place. Even though, in all practicality, Parliament was prorogued at that point in time, and therefore, having regard to what we heard from the Commissioner as to why he had to expeditiously leave the country with a high degree of haste, I don't know how you're reconciling that, and whether or not there's a storm in a teacup. But you have these fellas who are very prepared to focus on procedure as opposed to efficaciousness and practicality. But I know that it wouldn't go anywhere, but of course he continues to make those commentaries about the process. But go ahead.
Yeah, but if you're talking about breach,
Yeah.
when Rowley took the merit list to the president, when Griffith was commissioner, how come they didn't talk about breach then?
Situational ethics.
You make me laugh there, you know.
Yes.
How come? So that's a different kind of breach.
Situational ethics. They are playing the fool with foolishness. Imagine you're playing fool with foolishness. That is to tell you. But of course, in their case, they believe that they're bright as a consequence of playing the fool with foolishness. All right, my friend?
Yes, so you take care.
Yes, you take care as well, my friend. Thanks for that intervention. Yes, indeed, people. So let's go straight. I think I don't need to explain what just transpired there between myself and that caller. But let's go back to, of course, the Deputy Secretary of State and his commentary only recently, having, of course, by necessity and expectation, must come, if you are so far south in the Caribbean, must come to Trinidad. And he visited Trinidad and Tobago first.
60 years. So my presence here today is really a sign of recognition and respect and appreciation for that kind of partnership. And again, it just being here in this place at this time, looking out at this view and saying, this is what the fruits of that kind of benefit can be. It's not just a lot of talk about partnership, it's actual, tangible results. And that is what we're here for, right? I mean, the Prime Minister, much like President Trump, campaigned on economic renewal and security renewal. And those are both really important, critical objectives for both our governments. And so we are delighted to work together. And I am here to show that both sides are reaching out their hands of friendship.
Right, people. I mean, you don't want a better and more specific statement than that. There are those who would try to trivialize it, but that is no triviality to play with. You see, Mike Pompeo, his predecessor and Secretary of State then, went to and speaking to the OAS, telling them, listen, fall in line. There's no time to malinger. This is no time to hesitate. And Rauli, when the vote came at the OAS, the Organization of American States, to sanction Maduro and his administration, they abstained. Abstained. And as I said, commentary coming and action taken in association and around that particular topic of the Venezuelans clearly demonstrated that Rauli and they were in the corner of the Venezuelan regime that found itself associating with, of course, Iran, Russia, and Cuba. And, of course, North Korea to some extent, because I see that North Korea is now, of course, assisting Russia now in the war against the Ukraine. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox.
Yes.
Corridor transformation.
Yes, man.
Yeah. What I want to find out is that with all these things were coming in from plan and things were coming in, the PNM in opposition right now concerning the country. Because I know all the benefit of the country is for everybody. PNM, UNC, everybody, right?
Yes.
Are they against the goodness of this country, the PNMites are there? Why I want to say this is to see, because they're talking about emancipation and black man and slavery and other. What I want to know, the opposition PNM, we don't know, we are no leadership or nothing. They don't have no leadership, and Patrick Manning son done dealing with them to make things more worse for them. Are they against the betterment of this country to go forward? In other words, why I say that if they was to come in power now, they would have disbanded all these deals and things that we is getting. You know why I want to know the portfolio? Because some days, some states, we have to understand the level of intelligence of the black African PNM. We say the emancipation. You know why I'm specifying?
Yes.
Because I want to know if they're against the betterment of Trinidad and Tobago. The oil and the gas belong to everybody, Lennox. And if they're against that to this level, don't mind their own leadership. You see penny match up, this one done. There's all kind of bacana going on. Patrick Manning and son, I hope he jump ship. Will they disband all these deals to prove that we is the PNM? The heights there. Today, I watched something, Lennox, and I want just showing you.
Yes.
In the PNM area where they say the bad boys and them is and one of the fellas talking, and you see the legacy of the Rowley where we live. The fella in the area is saying, we want something here. Give me something here. He's talking to the government. Give me something. What I want to say is that what he wants every Friday, I mean, it's to come down with a bag of money, and all the fellas on the block give them some, only hold something. And next week Friday I will come out. Is where you understand in the area?
Yeah.
Where the bad boys, where they say the bad boys make friends and things.
I understand
they're
very
saying,
well.
listen, we go there.
Yeah.
To show you how PNM and Rowley and them damage the African man brain. What he's saying, only bring a bag of money on a Friday and come on the block and just share it over there. And until next week Friday, what is? You understand what's going on? You see this PNM? Aglado Manning's son, what his name is? Patrick Manning. It's Brian Manning.
Brian Manning, yes.
He supposed to be the leader at the PNM. Because don't mind, in government, he has no justice. They say sometimes out of darkness, a little light does shine. And he's the only shining light I see there. He supposed to be the leader at the PNM. Well, PNM must never run this country again. But if you get the message what I'm trying to show is that they rather see we destroy with no leadership than we bring back the country. Because that way the opposition PNM showing me, them rather all the deals crash and we think, and we go back to the thieving and the this and that. Because hear what the young boy saying. We want something in the ghetto. We want something. What you want in the ghetto? A man with a bag of money to come every Friday and throw it in the block. PNM, boy, I hope Manning destroy them. Son, they finish, destroy them. And when they done, let you go up there for Rowley. That the man who walk the Obiani father, let you go up there for you and take you out too. Lennox, good program.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Good night. Have a good night, Lennox.
I tried earlier to get into the mindset of Brian Manning by asking you, partially, of course, as to whether or not there's anybody you can identify as leadership quality to take the party forward, or the converse would be the case, to expedite their relegation to the dustbin of political history in this country. The last caller, of course, raised a very significant point in relation to that very issue, and that is whether Manning is doing this because he has a bout of conscience about what happened to his father, or is it a case, and I told you not to put that on the back burner or put that beyond the matrix or the variables that you must now project or consider in coming to a conclusion as to why Manning is doing what he's doing now, Brian Manning. And of course, that is whether it's a power struggle rather than avenging his father, or is it a combination of both? Because if it is about his father, certainly he's going to do what he has to do to make certain that what Rowley triggered back in 2015 never raises its head, be dead and buried, and therefore in the process killing the PNM? Or is it power, and therefore in the circumstance does he believe he could survive and gain dominance in that constituency and keep the PNM in the quagmire, or the, should I say, the cesspool that it is, or the toxicity of its circumstance at this time? But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yeah. Hello, good night. This
Good
is
night.
San Fernando West calling.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Good night to everybody.
Yes.
We're talking about the PLM, the quagmire, or the quagmire that the PLM has found itself in.
Surfing, yeah, at this time,
And
yes. In addition, of course, to the advancement, yeah.
And what Brian Manning is presently going through.
Yeah.
I will put it this way. The PLM found itself, and I keep saying it over and over again, it found itself in this position because what Brian Manning is doing now is a matter of saying, okay, for all he has suddenly come to the point where he realizing that it is too much for the party to bear. This is what I'm thinking, right? So it's a matter of, I can't see it being his father or taking revenge on Rowley or anything so, but I don't want to sound real contrary, but what I'm saying is, right, it's a matter of he realizing that the amount of wrongs that has been done, it is crippling the PN. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
So,
do you think it is purely that, or is it that there are elements inside of that constituency that is challenging him, and they seem to be gaining momentum or gaining the upper hand because they have connections back into the executive of the party itself, and so he believes he has to make a move. I accept the fact that it is not about his father and taking revenge, and why I'm saying so is because his mother has decided to to contest the chairmanship of that constituency. So that puts another dimension to his intent.
Okay.
to his intent.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Let me see if I could go down the road and explain it to you.
Go ahead.
If you ask the normal PNM, a normal PNM guy in a conversation, right? Because it happened to me already. What do you know about reparations? They can't explain it, right? No, no. To go into it is a lot of details that you'll have to go into, because you have to understand slavery, what slavery was about. Slavery was social death, right? And when you're dealing with all the leaders that came down, like Henry Sylvester, Marcus Garvey, a whole lot of them, even some of the Jamaicans, Leonard Howell, right? Who the colonial master, Leonard Howell, was beaten to death in Jamaica by the police, right? Because these guys were against a system that was brutal. Slavery was actually brutal, right? So, there's I think a 14-point plan, right, out that CARICOM had pertaining to reparations, and one of them, the first one, I think, was an apology by the British to apologize for that slave trade that took place, the Atlantic slave trade and all of that, right? So it's a lot of details that you will have to go into to really follow it and understand. But the thing is, when it comes to the leaders having, you have to put yourself on the right side of history of any issue. I think what Brian Manning is now realizing is that for far too long we were going down a road. Now people talk about let's just take Singapore. I have heard this argument already. We should be like Singapore. No, we should first understand our own culture and what has happened to us, right? So that, and build our culture from the white man gone, right? You understand? When he gone, we got independence, right? And we should have learned from that, right? But the PNN has sent this country down a dark road that now the PNN itself fighting to come out of it. And that's what happened to Brian Manning. They're fighting to come out of it because look, I just see Philip Alexander is now holding Camille Robinson wages to the housing project in Bonnet, and the kind of corruption that went down inside of that. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there's a lot that we did not understand about slavery itself, right? And not only just the slavery, but you have to realize that when in 1955, when Eric Williams took over, he on his own should have been meant. People like Kwame Ture was banned from Trinidad simply because Eric Williams didn't want anybody to oppose him politically.
Right.
Right? So there's a lot of history I could probably give you. I could give you more, but the bottom line is, I think Manning himself, right, this is the first point where he is now realizing where they went wrong. Because remember, Penelope Becker said that they have lost their way.
Yeah. And I think Imbert, who is probably the most senior of them existentially, has also confirmed that. Even though, of course, he continues to talk from both sides of his mouth, or so to speak, contradictory.
Yeah, and even with Eric Williams, I think I mentioned it to you before, right? Yes. That book, Capitalism and Slavery, I read that about 3 to 4 times. The first time I read it, I was trying to find out exactly how Eric Williams was thinking, right? But then we see that he started to go down a contrary road, because remember, right? He talked about the slave trade, the Atlantic slave trade, and how it was, and that kind of stuff, right? And the brutality that took place, right? Now you can't tell me, right, that seeing that this thing took place with your forefathers and whatnot, that brutality went on,
Yes.
and then towards the end of the book, I'm trying to remember the chapter itself, but there was a chapter where he praising the white man after of slaves and of saints. I think that he called it of saints and slavery or something like that.
All right. Well, when you get it, send it to me. I know you normally that share that kind of information. So thanks very much, of course, for that intervention.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
That's right. Only to say on that matter that he brought up in terms of reparation, well, whilst he was speaking, I did look for it. So it's really not a 14-point, but a 10-point plan. And the 10-point plan covers a full and formal apology. So he did say that would have been the first one. And then the second, of course, an indigenous peoples development program. The third, repatriation and resettlement. And then the fourth, of course, all of that will be detailed in a document that was produced. Fourth, a restitution of cultural heritage and cultural reconnection. So we reach 5. But let's go to the line, and after that, I will read for you the remaining 5. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
I'm back inside.
All right. I hear you, my friend.
Listen,
go ahead.
Listen to me.
All right.
Brian Manning is politically wounded. He is on his last leg politically, and he is suffering from a financial cash flow. And let me explain that to you. He had a job as a minister, right?
Yes.
So he was getting a nice flat salary. And his wife had a nice cushy job in Heritage. All of that has disappeared. There is nothing, so he's getting pressure on that because, he had to live a political,
a standard of living, concomitant with his status, or commensurate with his status. Yes, go ahead.
Right, and now the PNM, because it's a dogfight inside there, who can become the leader of the PNM, because everybody's seen Penelope as a sitting duck. I believe Brian wants to make a plan, take all of them down.
So is it anything at all to do with revenge or avenging his father's tragedy? Do you think?
No.
Oh, yeah, okay. I just want to hear from callers, yes. Go ahead.
After 10 years, you swallow all of that.
And after what he did, which would have been, of course, a betrayal.
Right.
To accept, of course,
he swallowed that for financial gain. He and his wife had a clash, that was afforded to him to remain silent.
Right, okay.
So
he was bribed, and therefore it questions or it indicates his moral and ethical disposition on matters of that nature. You had to stand on principle, but he has no principle.
Yeah.
It's about money.
Go ahead. All right. And the last point I want to say, we asked him for reparation from the European masters.
Yes.
The 4 northern African countries, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, and Egypt. There was a slave trade there also. They were enslaving the Europeans, all the ship merchants and things who was passing through the peninsula and the water there. So if the Europeans asked those North African countries for reparation, what do you think would happen? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I suspect this transatlantic slavery matter has to do with the Western African countries.
The Western.
But if you say, however, that was par for the course among the tribes in that part of the of Africa, where
They were making money out of it.
But they were enslaving each other before the
Right.
Europeans arrived. Yes. So from that perspective, I think they would have rendered mute to some extent the argument that they are advancing at this stage. But go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, because it was tribal war and it was easy. I capture you. I corral you, and I could send you to the merchant, the British merchant, who
I sell you and make some money, offer you.
Right, because
if they didn't come, I would have you, of course, working for me under harsh conditions anyway, as the spoils of war between the tribes, conquering tribes.
It was a demand for cheap labor. You understand? So yes, it's a ticklish thing, but you have to look at it globally and see enslaving people.
Yeah.
It has been there since Thy Kingdom Come.
It has been part and parcel of human existence on the face of the earth. Yeah, I agree with you.
And people have to understand, yes, it's a psychological scar, but you have to move on. You can't look back at it. Now is the chance to, as I say, do as the North African countries, enslave them.
Yes.
That is what if you look at India history, the East African, not the East Indian, it was the biggest company in the world. Now, all the big companies all over the world.
Yeah, all the tech giants are seeking out, of course. The Indians.
The CEOs have taken it over and they're colonizing all of those companies and things like that.
Yeah, in a different form. Not aggressive.
Yeah, so I ain't buying brand man and crying. What
I hear you. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Yes, indeed. Yes, man. Yes. So let's get back, of course. Let me just complete the remaining 4. Is it or 5? Yes, remaining 5 reparation points that CARICOM has come up with. I left you with this 5th. Well, the 6th is, of course, capacity building and development through education and training. Very, very significant demands that are being made. Whether or not they're going to get it is a different story. But let's go straight, of course, to the line.
Yeah, no.
Good night. Go ahead.
Man from the Sandois.
Yes, go ahead, man.
Right, listen. Man ain't walking there feeling that he will get the same respect his father had. But you have to earn that. You can't just come into San Fernando East just so. Don't feel there's anybody by anybody you're coming by.
Yeah.
It's San Fernando East. Patrick Manning welcome here anytime. Brian Manning show up himself here 3 times. That's for the 3 election. Right? There's no one coming to try to defend him.
Yeah, I take your point. You have a very valid point, because when the chronology or the scenario as to why we are here at this point in time in that, as far as the conflict in that constituency is concerned, one of the things Gonzalez said, the chairman of the party, is that Manning demanded that Penelope Beckles make an input, and he was insistent, and there was subsequent commentary to suggest that, because he felt slighted, because probably he feel that he has inherited something undeservingly, but yet still entitled. So I take your point, what you're saying, that he believes that somehow he is more than what he really is. Go ahead.
Correct. He walking with some sort of respect.
Yes.
Because of his father legacy.
Yeah, vicariously, he parasiting on his father's, let's say, work that he would have done. Yeah.
Right. So now, nobody show no respect to him, because you know why? Your father is gone. They destroy your father, and that is what he not getting in here. They PNM destroy Keith Rowley, and the PNM destroy Patrick Manning.
Right.
Manning was well respected up to his last day before Rowley destroyed him.
Yeah. Yeah, I sense that, because we were following that very intensely. And I agree that even when, of course, in his...
Lennox Manning only lose respect when Rowley say he going to the Lekito fame.
Yeah.
That is only when Patrick Manning lose respect.
Yeah.
Because you realize the fight was more than physical fight, it's spiritual now.
Yeah, and his futile attempt, encouraged by the constituency, to make a comeback. But obviously, he was so far gone as far as his ailment is concerned that it was physically impossible.
He can't continue.
Yeah,
he cannot continue.
It was impossible.
But his son, Brian, was nowhere wrong. Yeah.
And suddenly to take that.
Who was wrong? When Patrick was here, was his wife, Hazel. Patrick will sit on a white Kia 1-ton, what they call H100 or something.
Yeah.
The 1-ton van, and he'll put a chair in the back in. And Manning will drive through his constituency every Saturday.
Right.
We never see, when we see Brian? When election coming. Not if somebody there, or it have fire, however.
So conclusion, as far as you're concerned, he's an opportunist who see an opportunity and decide to fill that space.
Thinking he could progress on somebody's strength, which is his father.
He couldn't work for it and did not work for it. Yeah.
He did not have to do no work, Lennox. He just had to follow his father's footsteps. Walk with him, foot to foot, and talk done.
Yeah.
But when you're lazy, you're damn lazy.
Yeah.
When you're lazy, you're damn lazy.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
And this is laziness. This is the result of laziness.
Yeah. I see that. So there's something more in the motor than the pestle. It's not that he genuinely has a concern for
It is pepper in the pestle. It is pepper in the motor.
Yeah, I hear
and
you.
the pestle work in the pepper now.
I hear you. Yeah, so he's being crushed.
Good night, sir.
Okay, same to you. He's being crushed by his own ambition, clearly, because he thought that he could have moved into that vacuum, that space that was created by his father, and then get dominance. But as I said, he insisted that the political leader deal with the matter. Political leader directed him to the arm of the party that deals with disputes of that nature, and he didn't like it and felt slighted, and therefore he decided to go public. So I too would have to conclude, even though it is premature in terms of the question that I would have asked earlier, but my own conclusion is, and I'm sure that others or the vast majority will agree, it is all about his own self-preservation, his own self-aggrandizement. It has nothing to do with avenging his father's disgrace by the very PNM, but it is about attempting to advance himself by parasitically or vicariously attempting to gain traction where it is undeserving, having regard to the fact that he did not work for it. That being as it may, of course, the seventh compensation for gender-based violence and assault on families. Of course, I am referring here to the 10-point plan, 10-point recommendation for reparations by CARICOM. And then the 8th one, of course, psychological rehabilitation at this stage. All right, psychological in the 8th. The 9th, of course, they are claiming as far as the reparation for the slavery that our ancestors would have been subjected to via the transatlantic trade, the transatlantic slave trade in what centuries? Columbus came here 1492, so we're talking about the 16th, 17th, and 18th century, yes. But of course, the other one, the right to sovereignty and the development, technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. That is another one that the CARICOM is saying as part of the reparation for that dastard and evil period in world's history and the Europeans' activities during those centuries, I should say. 10, debt cancellation, monetary compensation, and decolonization. So those are the 10 areas that CARICOM says form the basis for the argument for reparation, according to CARICOM. So that's a document that we have. In fact, the document is entitled the CARICOM 10-Point Plan for Reparatory Justice. Reparatory Justice, yes. A manifesto for the coming enlightenment. Coming enlightenment. So that's the document. So you can look for it, people, and I'm sure it will prove to be interesting reading, particularly for the African community across the Caribbean, not just in Trinidad and Tobago. Let me just take a look at the time. There, so it's 9:29. As you would have realized by now, Mr. COP is not with us, will not be with us. But I want to finish at 9:30. I'm simply tired, and I think an hour and a half of this every night certainly takes a toll. And as the old people would say, walk though dead is man is dead, because I have to get up for 2 o'clock to do some research in order to be on the #1 program on mornings, the Ground Report, and the Snipes and myself. So let me just conclude here. We did, of course, conclude the not the acting, but the Deputy Secretary of State statement, glorifying and accepting and very appreciative of Trinidad and Tobago. But I want to tell you something as well. I think it's important to look at this as well, because we compare it with the approach of the PNM. And when the secretary, the actual Secretary of State, Mark Rubio, he met the temporary, very, very temporary, very ephemeral Prime Minister, talking about Stuart Young in the United States. Stuart Young came back and was so embarrassed he couldn't say that he was rejected. But this is what, when Stuart Young met with Rubio in the United States at the State Department, this is what he was greeted with. So there he is. Let me just give you some audio.
Well, you should tell me you've been in much longer than I have.
Only 9 weeks. So you've been like
Listen
3
to
weeks.
this.
Hello, Secretary.
How are you?
Not too bad. Pleased to meet
Should I
you.
say congratulations or condolences?
Well, you should tell me you've been in.
So he asked him if it's congratulations or condolences. I said, that is so disrespectful. Not Rubio, but the disrespect that Stuart Young has attracted for the government that he would have led, and therefore the embarrassment for Trinidad and Tobago. The man asked him if I should congratulate you or say condolences, because he already knew that he was a loser and that the coalition of interests and the UNC would form the next government. They are not fools. Listen to this again. I know sycophantic PNM and Stuart Young himself would not want this to be shown, because, I mean, it is huge in terms of the disregard that the Americans had for the PNM, Rowley, and very ephemeral, but certainly 45 days Stuart Young administration as Prime Minister.
Hello, Secretary.
How are you?
Not too bad. Pleased to meet
Should I
you.
say congratulations or condolences?
Well, you should.
Congratulations or condolences? Congratulations or condolences? Congratulations or condolences? Congratulations or condolences?
And he tried to make a comeback, because, I mean, it was an embarrassing thing. If it's me, I don't know what I would have done, but certainly I would have taken that to heart and maybe not going to that room with Mark Rubio, or say something to salvage some kind of dignity. But listen to what Stuart Young said.
Well, you should tell me you've been in much longer than I have.
Only 9 weeks. So you've been like 3 weeks.
Tell me you've been in much longer than I have.
Only 9
You tell me you've been in much longer than I have. You should tell me you've been in much longer than I have. You should tell me you've been in much longer than I have. Well, you should tell me you've been in much longer than I have. Well, you should tell me you've been in much longer than I have.
Only 9 weeks. So you've been like 3 weeks.
That's right.
So we didn't know what was said afterwards, but to say that you should tell me you have been in it much longer than I am, condolences or congratulations. I don't know, because he was talking to the actual Secretary of State, probably the third most powerful person in the United States. And he asked him for advice immediately. You should tell me whether it's condolences or congratulations. I mean, come on. So even that was a buffoonic statement. But let's hear the entire clip.
Hello, Secretary. How are you? Not too bad. Nice to meet
Should I
you.
say congratulations or condolences?
Well, you should tell me. You've been in much longer than I am.
Only 9 weeks. So you've been like 3 weeks.
So I think we have had enough of that. So that statement, that embarrassing introduction, over Sheikhan, was due to the robust and antagonistic relationship that these fellas had with the Americans, but want to still come and shake the hand and look for assistance. We're going to talk a little more about that later down the road, and the role of that, should I say, constructed, that choreographed honorary doctorate that Rowley got in the United States. All of that, you would see, was designed to try to get favor with the American administration, even though locally, Rowley flexing his muscle. You have, of course, Robinson Regis saying, who the hell is Trump? And then another one saying that of course, that caused him not to contest the election at all, saying that America is a dump. And of course, Rowley would have none of it and withdrew him from the candidacy of the constituent. I think it was Antoine was the fella. So we have all of that taking place, and the Americans were watching that. But of course, you heard the Deputy Secretary of State earlier. But I think it's important that we look now at Kamala Prasad-Bissessar and her response when she got the opportunity to speak. When she got the opportunity to speak to what the Deputy Secretary of State would have said in his presence here in Trinidad. So let's go there.
Prime Minister Kamala Prasad-Bissessar is celebrating the latest partnership with BPTT on Block 5B of the Manikin Coquina field, which will see the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago hold a 20% participating interest. The partnership is part of this government's commitment to securing Trinidad and Tobago's energy sector.
In February 2015, back to February 2015, when I was your Prime Minister, both governments agreed to develop the field as a single unit, giving 66% to Manikin and 34% to Coquina. As a single unit. Giving 66% to Manikin and 34% to Coquina. This makes the Manikin Coquina field the only, as mentioned, unitized cross-border gas field in the Western Hemisphere, where agreement has been reached to develop the entire field.
She also congratulated BP on agreeing to acquire Woodside Energy's 70% interest in the offshore Calypso gas project, increasing its stake in Block TTDAA 14 to 100%, assuming operatorship.
What this will do, this will accelerate our work in the energy industry. In energy, Calypso is a major domestic gas source and the first ever deep water development.
According to BPTT CEO David Campbell, the move marks another step in the growing partnership between BPTT and NGC, supporting progress on the unitized Manikin Coquina cross-border development and enhancing regional energy cooperation.
Manikin Coquina extends across the main maritime boundary between the two countries. The field represents an important opportunity to leverage existing infrastructure in Trinidad and Tobago while monetizing gas resources that straddle the international boundary. This marks another significant milestone in advancing the development of the Manikin Coquina resources. BP's enduring partnership with NGC has long been a cornerstone of Trinidad and Tobago's gas industry.
NGC Chairman Gerald Ramdeen admitted that the accomplishment was no easy feat.
This is a project that was sanctioned in 2015. And what we've done in a little over a year was what could not have been done in 10 years under the last administration. These negotiations are very hard negotiations, and I would like to pay respect to the manner in which those negotiations were conducted by BPTT.
The Prime Minister also thanked U.S. President Donald Trump for continued partnership, noting that the U.S. is a very key partner in energy, technology, health, security, and cross-border gas development. Kevion John, TTT News.
So I think we have looked at the difference of approach as far as the UNC and the former PNM administration is concerned, and we have to conclude that it is about chalk and cheese. So we are on a trajectory for development, advancement, and indeed cooperating on the basis of security as well in the area of health and advancement, and of course public health notwithstanding. I think we are in a good place. Whether we will be able, the speed with which we'll be able to take advantage, that is the only factor to bring benefits, of course, to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's go to the line. Let's take a last call, and I will conclude thereafter. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
This is San Fernando calling back in.
Yes.
I want to agree with the San Fernando East person.
Okay.
It is also as a result of laziness, right? Because right now too, we are also experiencing, even in the constituency where I am here, at the local level, the councillor himself don't work at all.
Wow.
Don't work. So maybe Brian, that's what I'm saying, right? Brian Manning will be realizing that, he's trying to bring back something that is it gone so far because of all the laziness and all the corruption and all of that. It gone.
Yeah. So your considered conclusion as well, is it that it has nothing to do with revenge for his father, but it's more his personal aggrandizement and his belief that somehow he can inherit something that he didn't work for, and flexing his muscle? Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
But plus two, it's a matter also, besides just his personal thing, you have to understand the history that of the PNM and what the PNM has done to the country. You see, it's so much in a mess that they're trying to bring, even not only with Brian himself, but they could see it with the Amy Brown and the Coleman Burt and all of them.
Yeah.
Who they, as I keep saying, so many lies. If you tell one lie, and then you tell another one, and then it build up. It was a build up that led to Brian Manning doing this what he's doing now.
All right. Well, I want to say too, it will not be far-fetched as far as I am concerned, if he, of course, takes up an offer from the present government. I will not be surprised if the entire thing is necessarily personal, let's say, unmerited recognition, because, of course, he's depending on parasitically on his father's legacy or his father's heritage. All right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much. People, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. I trusted that you was more edified tonight. We covered a number of issues, some of which I didn't fathom, but of course, because it was introduced, I thought it was very significant in terms of the reparation issue and CARICOM's position. So I think you would have been edified. So you can easily, at your convenience, look back at this program tonight and get all of that information. And so, of course, make certain that you are abreast with all of that is not just coming, not just is, but look at the future of Trinidad and Tobago in a particular lens. And I want to say that lens has to be optimism. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless, and see you, of course, on the next occasion. But let's end as we started, which, of course, the price of progress. I'm saying the price of progress in the context that here it is, we had to go through the awful period of the Rowley Stuart Young administration to get to a place where we could finally say and breathe a sigh of relief that things are going to be better moving forward. Have a wonderful one. God bless, and see you tomorrow morning on the corridor, not the corridor, but the ground report. Andy Snipes and myself from 6 a.m. on 91.1 Talk City. Bye-bye. Well, like they want me to call. Let's take a final call. This is an anticlimax, but say what? A pleasant good morning. Morning.
Yeah, no.
I finished with the program, and you have me saying morning now, but go ahead.
Yeah, Lennox, you close up already?
Yeah, I closed up now, but go ahead. Give me.
San Fernando East.
Yeah, go ahead.
What I man last time, when he said the council do nothing for him, let me help him out.
Yeah.
I tell him my party when she look bad, I gonna help you. Forget about Brian Manning.
I hear you. Okay, thanks very much. Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Yeah, man.
Okay. All right. People, only Trinidadians that's acting that way. But let's get back to the music, the price of progress, of course, and we saw where we should not be as far as the PNM is concerned, and where we ought to be now in terms of progress as we move inexorably forward, advancing Trinidad and Tobago's interests.
Today, when I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sand while walking through time. I see fruits of our ambition, figment of our imagination, and I ask myself, when will it end? When will it end? It is plain to see, universally this land is not bountiful as it was, simply because in its quest for success, nothing stands in man's way. All rivers run dry, soon the birds will fly, the mountains will be no longer high. And when I really think of it, I just wonder why, oh why.
Supporting progress on unitized management, cross-border development, and
I see charity deplored, equal rights totally ignored, wisdom and ingenuity working in accord, simply to afford such inventions as thermonuclear warfare and environmental warfare. And I wonder now, where do we go from here? Profits everywhere. Gaze upon the horizon and declare that judgment will come. As the savage hands of unscrupulous men pile everything pass by. Time is running out as we eat and drink species at the brink of being extinct. And I think no one can deny that the price of progress is high.
These negotiations are very hard, and I would like to pay respect to the manner in which those negotiations were conducted by
the Prime Minister also thanked the U.S. President.
I see consciousness as great as today we live recklessly. Money make egos inflate and thereby create a turbulent state. I see a struggle between the sexes, new hang-ups and old complexes. Now the question is, right in context, what shall be next?